eternal innocence. The word innocence means different things to different beloveds. Innocence is devoid of struggle. Innocence is devoid of right and wrong, good or bad, light or dark. Innocence is not attached to time and not afraid of death. All of this is innocence in the true sense that in your innocent self, all is pure and holy and has no attachment to the made up world of good and bad and right and wrong and more and less, light and dark. All of that has been made to keep you in fear. The fear comes from the belief in right and wrong and good and bad. Every time there is a decision made of, I like this way that this shows up, this form, this circumstance, I like it this way, you're hooked. You're hooked in a false perception that there is a wrong way or a right way, and that you are the decider of that right or wrong way. All that that does is take you into fear. Because once you make the decision that there is a right way, that this is good and something else isn't, you're on a roller coaster. You have to hold on to what you identified with. You have to be sure that it works out, because if it doesn't, then somehow you're responsible, or you're giving it all the meaning that it has. You've taken it over. You're owning it, and there can't be any ownership of form. And that's what it's based on, is it looks like this. And if it looks like this, it must be good. But the only thing that is running at all is the inner intention. The inner intention to either offer love or to promote fear or hatred. Those are the only two options. There is no good or bad. The form could be someone standing upside down. It doesn't matter. How would you know what that's for and what that means, except through the meaning that you give it? And the intention behind being turned upside down, you don't know. You don't know what anybody has to walk through for healing, for remembering. And you don't know what you need to walk through. And that's where the love just leads. And if you allow love to lead, you can be at peace. You can trust the universe instead of trying to make a separate decision of protection and defense. To really be at peace is to not have any attachment to outcomes, because anything can be used for the remembering of love. And what if you wanted a different outcome and that took away the opportunity for everyone to learn? learning is directed by the Spirit of love. And to allow that direction is just following, asking, and allowing that everything is in perfection, always. In your heart, if you allow it to be given for the purpose of learning. Getting and learning do not know each other. Getting is the belief that there isn't enough and that you have an outcome that is going to give you something. Learning receives everything for its divine purpose and allows it to unfold, allows it to just reveal itself. And what will the learning be? It comes with the yes. I'm willing, whatever it is. And to realize so deeply that the Spirit of love, the power of the universe, is totally aware of what is most helpful for you. Totally aware of what circumstance, what situations, who, everything is perfectly orchestrated for your learning if you allow it. And that is the key, to allow, to invite. Take this life and use it for remembering. It's the only purpose. And in all of that surrender, the surrender that we cannot know anyone else's journey and what they need, what anything should look like. It's all perfect. And that I don't know is your strongest friend. The I don't know is your ally to love. Through the I don't know how to look at this. I don't know what it's for. I don't know what it means. I don't know what's needed, but I'm here. I'm saying, yes, show me the way. And in that distinction, that joining is your dearest friend, because it will open the door for your healing. And it will heal you of the erroneous perception that you know. How can we know? We've lived in a trance. And in that trance, there's no truth. There's only a made-up circumstance that's ready to be unraveled. And the light breaks it all apart. Invite the light. Invite the light that you are. In this moment, in the innocence that you are, the innocence that you offer, the innocence that glows within you, the innocence of the universe. In that innocence, affirming that there is only love. Only love. To really accept that there is only love, that nothing else is actually in existence. And how many times are you going to let your mind have its way to make up a world when the world of innocence and love is yours and it is you. To stop the wheel of suffering is God's grace. There is nothing in the power of the universe, the power of God, that has any hint of judgment, of wrath, of revenge. The truth of love, the power of the universe, the power of God cannot even see the illusion that everyone in this world believes is actual fact and reality. It can't even be seen because it's not true, it's not love. And how many hours, how many years, how many lifetimes has everyone spent worried about judgment, of being judged? And the fear of being judged only comes from the belief that you have that judgment is valid, that judgment is righteous somehow. Maybe it's just a clever entertainment, something to do. And yet, it's not of God. It doesn't even exist. And it's revered as legitimate. To surrender all judgment, to no longer tolerate it, is essential. To no longer tolerate the past and the habits of the past that have been miserable and misery making. To accept, I don't know. And then to find that in the not knowing is the grace of peace. That you never have to try to prove your worth again, that you never will defend yourself again, that you will never have to protect anything or worry about anything, because love is all that there is. The true love, not what the world has made with the name of love, which is possession, ownership, fear, habit. And an avoidance of God. Because when you meet the divine within, there will be no room for ownership, possessions. It will mean nothing. Invite the divine. It's where you live. It's what you are. It's meeting yourself with a capital S. And when you meet yourself, you meet every beloved in all innocence. No ownership, no possession. The word my disappears. Where did it go? It got disintegrated into love. And only love remains. In this moment, affirming and willing to affirm day after day after day, moment to moment, affirming this universe is all love. Nothing else exists. I am that love. I am that. One with all creation. The yes of the heart. The heart beating strongly because the heart wants the remembering. The heart is the center of God. Let it burst. Let it melt. Let it break. Surrendering the heart into the truth of love. There is only one presence here. It is the life force of God, which is all love. And within this life force, we live and move and breathe as one in union with no threat from a perceived difference. Only love. As we have all walked the journey, or are still walking for some, strength and courage are called for because the fear of being without what you know can seem to be a threat. You've depended on what you know in all of its pain and suffering for lifetime after lifetime, and now is the time of learning to trust the power of the universe, the power that is the true creator of life, and rejoin that oneness. Oh, my Father, give me strength, give me courage on this road, to be a child of yours on earth and tread the path the Master showed. Oh, my Mother, help me love, give me comfort to be aware, to obey these sacred teachings. It was your Son who showed the way. Oh, my Master, your compassion can see through this pain, for it was you who came to earth to release us from these chains. Oh, my Father, I am yours. Give me comfort to be aware. Send your angels to receive me in this sacred path of the sun. Oh, my Father and my Mother, who rule the world of love, Send your angels to receive me through the gateway of pure love. Send your angels to receive me through the gateway of pure love. This is not a asking for something that is over the top. This is the truth that in the angelic realm, which is just one of many realms of beings, in the angelic realm and in all realms of love, everyone, all the beings will guide you. They will all take your hand and lead you. But if you think you know, you're not available, because you can't know what and how that might occur. It's just trusting in all the love and in all of its manifestations, all of its benevolence, all of its grace. There is a teaching that runs through many paths that is about that you can't know, and that you're being called to get into the boat. You're called to get into the boat so that it can take you down the river, and you realize that you're not in charge of the boat, of the river, the learning. You're just there to receive and allow that the boat is moving through form, through illusion of form. It's moving, and the more that you can keep giving everything that you see into the hands of God, just everything, empty yourself into love. It's here, the small boat is here. It's the love, the light. This small boat comes to take us back to love. It opens the path to the divine. The Blessed Mother is guiding the small boat. Allow it. I surrender to the will of the divine. In my heart, I must remember I am the kingdom of love. Vem chegando, vem chegando, vem chegando, vem chegando, a Baquinha vem chegando, a Baquinha vem chegando. É o amor à luz, é o amor à luz. Na Baquinha vem chegando, na Baquinha vem chegando, vem abrindo o caminho, vem abrindo o caminho de Deus nosso Senhor, de Deus nosso Senhor. Me entrego, me entrego, me entrego, me entrego à vontade do Pai eterno, à vontade do Pai eterno. É o meu coração, é o meu coração. Eu sou renho de amor, eu sou renho de amor. The moon is also busy. I bow to God in gratitude, and I find the moon is also busy doing the same. I bow to God in great happiness. I learn from where the sons, S-U-N, and the children and my heart all borrowed their light. I bow to the friend in deep reverence and discover a marvelous secret carried in the air. This whole universe is just as blessed and divinely crazed as I, and just as lost in this wonderful holy dance. My dear, after such a long, long journey, God has made another soul free. Now every teacher wants to do is open a beautiful tavern where this sacred wine of God's truth, knowledge, and love is forever and ever freely offered to you. Oh, bow to God in gratitude, and someday you will see how the moon is also busy doing the same. I bow to God. I bow to God in gratitude and find that the moon is doing the same. How will you see that the moon is doing the same? It's by bowing in gratitude. It's actually a cause and effect. As you surrender your heart, your being, your intention, your life, as you give it back to God, it isn't, the surrender to God is held as something, first it's held as surrender is losing, because that's how it's called in the world. When you lose a war, you've surrendered. But this is winning, if you want to call it that. This is coming back to where you actually live. This is your true life. Why is the word funeral used so much in spiritual teachings? Except for the purpose of making it clear that when you believe in your own autonomy, your own mind, you are suffering. You are bereft of not being with God and being in the joy and wholeness of the true life. It's what you are. Not the you that has any resemblance to a you that's been made, but this magnificent being, the magnificent being that you truly are, is waiting to be remembered, and will continue to wait until you do. I bow to God in great happiness and learn from where the sons and the children in my heart all borrowed their light. The mysteries of the universe are so magnificent that it's all there and waiting for you to join. All there. And how do you possibly join in these divine mysteries and truths? It is truly through, I don't know. Why is it so fearful to admit that we don't know? What is it that has been convinced that says, I'm not going there? I am attached to my knowing. And yet every time a beloved steps into that not knowing and opens their being to that beautiful open space, there is always an awareness of divine grace. There's always love that is directing you, and it's so beautiful to be in that perfectly beautiful, perfectly peaceful vibration of love where you truly exist. Just imagine that you would never have a worry again, that you would not be in angst over what you think you know and decisions that you're making. It's all given over, and everything becomes so clear, so easy, because you're where you're supposed to be. You're where you truly are in the light of God. Everyone who has walked this earth as a body has experienced the wrath of the ego that battled from the very beginning of incarnation, struggling, battling, trying to prove, trying to forge out a spot for yourself, whatever. And it's all like this hard work of trying to prove your worth. And in the truth of love, there is absolutely nothing to prove. You are worth by nature. You are light and innocence and perfection by nature, by your just natural self. That's what you truly are. You are eternal. You are a light being of love. None of this is, you can't take any of what was just said and make sense of it with the mind that has nothing but limitation. You can't imagine the expansion of your being. You can't imagine the space that your being is actually in. All this beauty, all this light that you truly are is just right there, just beyond your remembering. It's being held for you until you're ready to remember. But it's within you. It's your light. And meeting it is in the not knowing, because you open a space that you can be shown the way, and you can be offered the way. I bow to the friend in deep reverence and discover a marvelous scent carried in the air, because this whole universe is just as blessed and divinely crazed as I am. This whole universe is all love. And love is calling you to join in that divine dance. But who knows how to enter into the divine dance unless you allow the guidance to take you. So beautifully will it take you. And to open a beautiful tavern where this sacred wine of God's truth, knowledge, and love is forever and ever freely offered to you. It's being offered all the time because God wants your happiness. Just your happiness. It's very simple. Peace and happiness are the same thing. Love, peace, and happiness are all the same thing. There's no worry, there's no difficulty, there's no other, there's no comparisons, there's no knowing. How can you have a judgment without knowing? You can't. It depends on you believing that what you know is right, and that some other behavior or perception is somehow wrong. And that's where all the pain is. Because as soon as you believe you have some knowing of somebody, of something about somebody, you've separated yourself from them. You've just affirmed we're separate. You're that and I'm this. I have my idea of me and I have my idea of you. And that's what I'm holding. And that's where all the pain is. There's nothing to battle with anybody. Behavior doesn't mean anything. Behavior is a cry for love. That's all that it is. If it's seen as something threatening, there's pain. There's caution. That's all painful. But in the truth of love, none of that is reality. Now, how can you accept that there's no differences and comparisons in reality when your whole world is built on comparisons and differences? You count on it in order to believe that you are safe and believe that you know. And that means also that you're safe. What is being safe? That's the strangest thing. Even the idea of safety is made up. It's always about the body, but it's vague. Every time you enter into fear of not being safe and you have a reaction that says, oh, I'm not in enough control, I'm not in enough judgment, I need to be on top of this, whatever it is, or I need to be cautious about something, which is still being on top of it. Every time that occurs, it reinforces that there's something that's threatening. But what is it? What is the threat that you're believing in? It's vague. It's always vague. It seems like it's right here and something is being assaulted within you. Like your worth, your honor, your way, your idea, whatever. But it isn't really that. It's a vagueness that is behind it. The vagueness is I'm threatened, but the threat is like I'm going to die because it's vague. The ego keeps the vagueness there so that it seems really ominous. You get a letter in the mail from the power company, and it says, you missed your payment. If you have a reaction to that of fear, of upset, you're not only in the past believing that you're threatened by a letter, but the vagueness of what is the unsafety, the threat, is far beyond the letter that you're late with your electric bill. The vagueness says you're in danger of upsetting the apple cart of your belief of how things need to be. You are in danger of not being in enough control. You should have known that that date was what it was, and you should have paid that on time. So you have failed. You have failed by not remembering a date or putting your paperwork aside. What you're feeling is not aligned with what that power bill says. You believe that this is an actual threat of some kind. You don't say, whoa, forgot that. No, it's a thing, it's a worry that comes over. And the worry says, you're not in control. You don't have things aligned like you should have. Feel the vagueness of it, because the vagueness is behind it, saying this really means something. And every single time you have a worry or you have a reaction to something that you think is out of line with how things should be, it's the vagueness that is running the show. The vague fear that you are actually really in danger. Now, if you really looked at what you're believing in, it would fall apart, because it's being late for a power bill. It has no real anything. Who said you were late? What is the power? What are you attached to? What is it that you believe is happening? Nothing's happening, but you've attached to this, and you feel threatened. You could place it with anything. You could call it anything. I used to be terrified of the phone ringing, that it would be something that I'd done wrong, that was wrong somehow. This is a vagueness that runs. It's an illness that runs all the time, until you're finally willing to say, this cannot be the truth of love. This is not of God. Why am I making these things up? Why do I want to suffer by having a belief in the rules of the world that mean nothing? God didn't create those. They're made up. Does that mean that you don't pay the power bill? No, but it isn't a place of pain. It isn't a place of worry. It isn't a place of shame. Because what if somebody comes to the door and you just got a late notice on your power bill, and instead of being secretive about it, because you're not going to show anybody that you were late, you're going to hide it. Why would you hide being late in a power bill? Except that you believe it means something. So when you get the power bill, if somebody comes to the door, do you have the courage to say, I just got a late notice in my power bill, I forgot to pay it? Can you express that? Because if you can't, it's because you're really giving it meaning. You believe that you have an image to uphold that is actually keeping you safe. But it doesn't, because you have to keep working it all the time to make sure that you feel safe. And you never do. You never feel safe. You feel righteous sometimes. You feel that you're getting things in control. You feel like you're on top of things, but you don't ever feel safe when you believe that the world is what you have to control, the world that you made. And this is where the insanity lives, is that you're trying to control what your mind is projecting. It's all in your mind. If you didn't want to have worry, all you have to do is to refuse that there's anything to worry about and give it to God. If you're making up what you see and then you try to control it, you're trying to double attack your own mind. Like the enemy is out there when it's actually being produced from inside your mind. That's where the healing is. It can't be controlled out there. It's like riding a roller coaster that is insane. You're never going to be able to control it, and you're never going to feel safe within the world that you keep making and keep projecting out there. It's the funniest thing. Every time there's a judgment, you're in pain. Every time there's a judgment, your safety fear goes up. Every single time. If you have an assessment or a judgment about anything, it raises your level of concern and worry and alarm. And your safety is screaming underneath in its vagueness, but it's not that vague. It's getting closer. Every single time you have a judgment. How is that possible? That every time you have a judgment, you're attacking yourself. But it is because you're separating yourself from God with every judgment. You're saying, I know what this means. I know what it's about. I know what it's for. And you've just put God someplace else instead of in the center of your heart, where you truly exist with God. I don't know what anything is for. I don't know how to look at anything. I don't know what it means. Why is this so frightening? Because the belief is that you can die. It's all about being a body, which you're not. You are a divine spirit. The body is an instrument that's been used and is called to be used to communicate love or fear. That's its only function. Offering love, expressing love, communicating love, or fear. And fear, this is the crazy part, fear doesn't look like fear. You think of fear, you think of being scared, like viscerally. But fear is arrogance. Fear is pride. Fear is ownership. Fear is the belief in scarcity. Fear is the belief that someone can do something to hurt you. So to offer love or to offer fear. But to realize that you cannot die and you cannot be hurt. You cannot. How is it that you can accept that you can't die? It's to accept that you have never lost anyone, and nothing that is true has ever died. The spirit of everything is living. The spirit of everyone is living and is still totally one with you. Every moment is the moment of learning. It's an amazing thing to realize that the schoolroom of love is really here and is yours. But that once you enter that schoolroom of love, there's really no turning back, because your beliefs are being burned up behind you. Unless you're holding on to them and trying to store them for some purpose. But the more that you let go and trust in the universe, the happier you will be. the more peace, that's where peace comes from. That's where harmony, joy, everything comes from, the oneness with the universe. Imagine that there's 300 billion, you don't have to imagine this too much, but there's 300 billion beloveds. And every single one of them is having a thought that is personal and contradictory to everybody else's. Everybody thinks that they know something and is thinking it and judging others for not having whatever. So there's just judgment and thinking of separation going on for 300 billion. And this is the chaos that the insanity brings. Because every single one of those beloveds is in oneness with all creation. They aren't separate. Not at all. And all those separate thoughts are just as insane as every thought of judgment or anything that's in everybody's life. When you see someone, what occurs when you run into someone or you meet someone? What is that? It's a holy encounter. It's a holy moment of opportunity to offer love. What are you offering? Are you offering a story about what's wrong, or what you're worried about, or what you know? Or are you present and offering love in whatever way is most helpful in the moment? Are you able to go beyond the self, what about me, and offer love? It's not self-sacrifice, because when you offer love, you receive love. So there's no sacrifice. But how can you be present for someone and have a story that has to be about you? To offer love is to be at peace. What is the need to give the fears that are going on in your life, or that are going on in the world? You meet somebody and you say something to them about the imbalance of harmony within the world, but that imbalance of harmony is coming from your mind in the moment, because you're there to bring love. You're there to bless. You're there to hear what they're asking for. You're there in that moment to serve and to bring love, to bring comfort, to bring gentleness, to bring kindness, because it's what you are. This isn't a strain. This is, as you develop the relationship with the truth of kindness that you are expanding the kindness within you. You are learning the truth of kindness from within, because you're not saying, what about me? What are you giving to me? And it all works in this beautiful, mysterious way, because you start to learn that everyone that you're paying attention to and offering love to is you. And you receive that love as deeply as they do, because you're expanding instead of contracting. What if you get a notice that your insurance is going up and it's doubling? And then you're worried about that. And you believe somewhere within you, because this is part of the reason that you believe in it, is that you're being unfairly treated within the world. Because that's why you're upset, is you believe you can be unfairly treated. And the insurance companies are part of the cahoots. This is the belief in the world. So you run into someone, you don't, and you're totally locked up in this doubling of your insurance. And you run into someone and you may have the presence to say, "How are you?" But really you're not listening. And all you can do is wait for an opening so that you can say that your insurance was doubled. When you are offering that to that beloved who you ran into, you have absolutely no caring about them. You are completely enveloped in me. What about me? And it's a double whammy, because you're believing in an illusion about the insurance that you're going to be without. You haven't surrendered it to God. You haven't rested in that. I don't know what this is for. I don't know how to look at this. I don't know what it's about. I have to make sure that this other beloved knows how unfairly the world treats everybody, so that they stay as far away from God as possible. That's not the conscious choosing, but that is what is running when all you want to do is talk about how worried you are about something. That's not the same thing as being able to say to a beloved, "I've surrendered this into the hands of God. I got a notice that my insurance is doubling, but I'm holding in the faith that I don't know how this is going to get resolved, but it's going to get resolved because it's in the hands of God." Can you imagine the ministry of your profound offering of love and faith in that moment, by being able to get beyond your fear and surrender to God, and then being able to offer that strength and that faith to someone else? That's the grace. It's honest. It's not playing a game of, I don't want to seem desperate or anything. I'm not trying to protect something about myself. I'm here to offer God's grace that, yes, I found this out today, but it's in God's hands. I'm trusting. I've always been taken care of. I will continue to be taken care of. And I don't know how that will unfold, but I'm trusting. And it's for the purpose of offering your own healing to serve another. Not because it's your own healing, but because it's a gift that you just received in coming back to peace, and you're extending it. Or you asking the Holy Spirit, is this helpful for me to speak about? Will this help this beloved? Because that's my healing, is to serve every beloved with truth, with love, with alignment. Or this beloved is just talking about how their rent's going up. Do you join with them? Yeah, boy, my rent just went up too. Yeah, I'm with you. There's no love there. You've just joined in an illusion with someone for the sake of your own ideas, instead of bringing love and harmony and faith to every beloved. It's a calling to be present and not in the past, and to really, as soon as you would find out that your insurance was doubled, that you would surrender that immediately into the hands of God and say, I don't know how to look at this, but there's only peace, and there's only love, and there's only joy. And I want to see how to see this differently. I don't want to see this in fear. There's nothing to be afraid of. I cannot be hurt. I'm in the hands of God. I'm totally relying on the truth of every teaching. I have to. I cannot continue to reject the teachings of love and play the game of knowing. It's where the pain and suffering is. Can you say to everyone that you have ever known, my heart is a raging volcano of love for you. My heart is a raging volcano of love for you. Because this is the truth. You may not feel it, you may not like it, because the ego is saying, what's in it for me? I'm the one who's in suffering here. Why should I have a raging volcano of love for somebody else when I'm worried about my insurance? They're not disconnected, they're together. When you are willing to express and extend love, you're saying, I'm not paying any attention to this insurance thing. This is in God's hands. There will be an answer that will come. I am trusting in God. And I'm not spreading my fear into everyone's life so that I can feel better because I've hot potatoed it and tried to get rid of it. No, I gave it to God. That's where the healing is returning it to God and saying, I don't understand this. You help me, please. I want to see this differently. I want to see this in truth. I want to rest. I want peace. And I want to learn to love, because I don't know how to love. Because there's no love in competing with someone over how miserable you are. That doesn't mean that you don't have and need to have the honesty to be able to say, I'm stuck. I'm stuck in my old beliefs. Bear with me. I'm just stuck. Hold the light with me while I surrender this, because I don't want to be stuck. And it isn't God's will for me to be stuck. The honesty of being able to express I'm stuck, or I'm stuck in fear, it's a big difference between saying I'm stuck in fear and I'm afraid. When you're saying to someone, I'm really afraid, you're really saying, I'm believing in an illusion. If you're saying I'm stuck, you're already recognizing that this is not the place that you are needing to be. That you don't want to be here because it's not the truth of you and it's not the truth of reality at all. Fear is not your reality. How can I serve everyone from every moment? Prayer of the heart. Who is it that you think about, that you hold in your heart and have such a deep prayer for, to be able to see them for who they truly are? When you have a judgment of someone, and everybody does, you know, and it's a place, it's an error of thinking, it's a wrong direction, it's not helpful, it's painful. But when you have a judgment of someone or a situation, there is an immediate need for correction, for healing. Can you give yourself that space, that permission to want the correction almost immediately after you have the judgment? That you're so not wanting judgment to enter your mind anymore that you are immediately ready to forgive yourself and begin again. And even asking the question, what was that judgment for? Why was I judging? What did I think that it was going to give me? And giving that to the Holy Spirit, and then coming back to, I can't judge and be in love. And I forgive myself for believing that I could, or that it was somehow going to protect me in some way from something, when there's nothing to be protected from. The schoolroom is consistently open, consistently your life. The schoolroom is actually, even when you're not in a spiritual journey, the schoolroom is there because you're learning all the time. But in the schoolroom of the ego, it's learning all the time how to make a better ego, how to protect more deftly, how to be more separate. And in the schoolroom of love, it's a deep learning to allow yourself to be turned upside down, because everything that you thought you knew was not right side up. So when you let yourself be turned upside down, you're actually writing yourself into being in alignment. God's grace is with you always. Now you can pretend that that's a Hallmark card, and you can have separate lives that you don't even know that you have. There was a program in the 50s called I Led Three Lives, which was about a spy, something like that. How many lives are being led? When you split your life and pretend that you have this life in the world and you have a spiritual life, you're going to drive yourself crazy, crazier than you already feel, because you can't serve two masters. You can't serve them both. And when you try, they don't gel at all. And you feel even crazier. So it's a self-preservation for peace when you surrender more and more deeply to the spiritual truth. And the other side of that too is that when you split and you think a separate world over here, everyone that's in that separate world with you is not having the benefit of your spiritual truth, because you're keeping it like a separate thing. And that's how we heal. We heal through offering love. We heal through offering truth. If there's a comparison with someone, you're saying, I'm separate from you and I have to hold you in this image that I've made of you that has no reality, but I have to hold you in that because it supports my false identity too. Can you walk in this world in love and still function? Absolutely. It's actually functioning in a beautiful, beautiful relationship with everything, because you're transforming while you're walking in the world. You're blessing, you're bringing God's grace, because the world is longing for love. Everyone is longing for the truth of love, even if they are not aware of it. But if you're not consciously wanting to serve that love, it's going to be even more painful. Not because there's any punishment, but because the hell in the mind is painful. What keeps anybody up at night? Worry and guilt. They're strange bedfellows. To invite worry and guilt to sleep with you is upside down, to say the least. Why do worry and guilt come into your sleep? Because it's when you start to be quiet and your mind isn't as active, and there's a space opens up, and then all the guilt of the day comes rushing through, and all the worry of all the thoughts that you had of thought of knowing are coming to bed with you. They're repeating themselves to you. Worry about this, worry about this, worry about this. And all the judgment that you had during the day is bringing guilt to your sleeping or non-sleeping. Because when you judge, you have to believe that judgment is real. And when you judge and you make it real for you, then you also have to be very concerned. Not only are you feeling guilty, but you're worried about the judgment from the outside, because you believe that judgment is real. And it's where all the turmoil is. Do you want to sleep with peace and joy as your fellow sleepers? Because that's the exchange. When you're not judging and you're forgiving yourself for the habit of judging, you're open to peace and joy. You're open to the truth of who you are much more fully. And you can rest easy because your mind is clear from trying to get something, manipulations, comparisons, judgments. It's just filled with pain. If you, let's say you judge somebody that looks tired, and you're judging somebody that they look tired, what could that mean? Are you concerned for them? Or are you believing that they should get their act together and look better? It's all the meaning that you're giving it. If you see someone who looks tired and it's a call for love, then you're serving them. If you're in your own mind saying, God, why should they haven't been taking care of themselves? I wouldn't let myself go out looking like that. That is going to go to bed with you and be the guilt that you're carrying because you didn't offer love. It's just asking the question. Are you available to ask the question, what is this for? What do I want to come of this? What do I think I know? If I worry about someone, I am not trusting in God. If I worry about a relationship, I am not trusting in God. I have put the relationship before the truth of love. I'm looking to get and hold on to something. I think I know something. Every single time there is a concern, it is the belief of something in your mind that you believe is true that is separate from God. That's how nitty-gritty it gets, because you can't offer love and worry at the same time. The Hallmark says you can. Hallmark says, absolutely. Let me give you a card that says, I'm worried about you. That's how much I love you. But in truth, you can't be worried and offering love. You can't have a judgment of anyone or anything and be offering love. You can't be assessing someone in any way and be offering love. You just separated yourself from love by assessing something that's coming through your own mind. And your heart, meanwhile, while there's judgment, your heart is in pain because it's being ignored. It's being shut out. The mind is in charge. There's a poem by Hafiz that says, I don't want to touch anything in this world without recognizing the truth of my beloved within it. That leap of faith, that declaration was necessary. And it's necessary for everyone to have that in their heart. To declare your heart that you don't want to see anything of anyone that isn't the truth of love. That you don't want to touch anything without recognizing the truth of its oneness with God. That is the purpose of every moment. I must love. I must love with all my heart. I must love because there's nothing else that I can offer that's of any value, of any truth. It doesn't matter how you have built a reputation in a particular profession, or you you think that you have an identity in some way that's different than someone else, and you protect it, you defend it. It's made up. When the divine says, come naked unto God, forget everything and come naked, that nakedness means I have no identity. Not because I'm bereft of an identity, but because my true self is one with God, divine spirit of love. I accept that. And I have to live it because it's the truth. And this is the calling. How do I live the truth? By immersing in truth, by immersing in sacred teachings that lead you all day long. If you pick a teaching in the morning that you're going to follow all day, I could see peace instead of what I'm seeing. And you follow that all day, that truth is leading you, and you're counting on that truth all day. So there's no room for disasterizing. There's no room for I'm gonna tell you what's wrong in my life. And no, I could see peace instead of this is what I'm following. This is God's gift. I'm going to offer peace all day. I'm going to see peace all day because I refuse anything else. This is my spiritual schoolroom. This is the purpose of this incarnation, is to just remember the truth of who your divine self is, your beauty, your perfection, your light, your love, your immense reflection of God. You are the gift of the universe in your true divine nature. And there's nothing that you have to do to earn it. There's nothing you have to do to convince. It is the truth. It is your light. And this is an offering of let my own voice be still so that I can hear the voice of love. Quiet my mind so that I can hear the voice of love. Let that be your prayer. And know that God is in your heart, waiting to be recognized. Only love. I must love. Moment to moment. Only love.